So good morning and welcome to day number 2 in Chisinau. So today we are heading off to Cricova Wine Factory, hoping to see what that's all about. I'm not really a big wine drinker, but I think we get a few nibbles and a glass of wine, so should be fun. A few little facts about Cricova Winery. Over 60 metres underground, 120 or more kilometres of wine, one of the largest in the world. Place dates back to 1952, I believe, so should be quite interesting. Hopefully it's a bit of history, lots to see, lots to do. So let's go see what that's all about. Okay, so we've just got off the bus and we're in the area now of Cricova, and it's about a 1 kilometre walk to the winery. So it's going to take about 10 minutes to walk up there. So easy just to get on the bus, number 2. Just get on, 6 Moldovan lei. The inspector comes, takes your money. No hassles, no issues. So let's see what the winery has to hold for us. And there it is, explore our underground city. Just some outside electronics casually cable tied to a tree, as you do. Okay, so we've just got to Cricova, not Craiova. I need to stop saying that, don't I? We just got to Cricova, to the winery. We're about 10 or 15 minutes early, so we've just got to wait on for a few minutes. So we're going to get a train to take us down to the winery. Then we get a glass of wine, and I think we get some nibbles and things as well. So I'm looking forward to this. Let's have a look around at what's outside. Some beautiful views. See a lake down there. It's really nice here. Once you get out of the city, it's absolutely beautiful. Here's the building where the reception is. There's a nice bar in there as well. You can get a glass of wine or a cold beer or something, but maybe after. I don't have time at the moment. Like I say, our tour starts in around 10 or 15 minutes. So I think I can wait for them. These are the trains. Oh, these are the trains that we're going to be going on. To take us down. So this was a little view inside the reception area. The winery when you go to check in for your tour. We were actually there in the afternoon, the English speaking tour. There is a tour that they do in the morning in Romanian language, and I think there's also one that they do in a Russian language, but for us it was just an English language. This was the beautiful bar area that they had. Unfortunately I didn't get a chance to look at any prices, but I'm going to take a stab in the dark and say that it wasn't exactly cheap or budget friendly. So after a few minutes we were called down for our tour. So we made our way down to the trains and we had a little trip down to the caves. It was actually really fun, but as we passed out of the sun and into the caves, there was an audible gasp went out. You could hear like people as it went from 30 degrees to, I don't know, 4 or 5 degrees. Actually, is it a bit more? Is it somewhere between 8 and 10? I think they say they store the wine. But yeah, so bring a jacket or a jumper or something with you if you do this tour, because it does get a little chilly down there. In a minute, just hear a little bit from our guide about the underground city that they have, so I'm just going to be quiet for a while and let you listen to that. It's actually very interesting.
Cellar, you will see that Cricova here is a huge and a real underground wine city. Here we have a lot of streets, a lot of boulevards, traffic signs. Only the name of the streets are unusual, as we have here names like Chardonnay, Sauvignon, Feteasca, Codru, Dionys.
Once we'd had a little introduction to Cricova Winery and what they do there, we were brought into this little cinema room where we were given a glass of sparkling wine, and we were shown a film with a bit of the history of how the winery started, the history of the people, how they came about to making the wine, and of course all the places it's distributed throughout the world. After the movie, it was back outside and back onto the train again for the next part of the tour. So we were just waiting for a few latecomers to join us before we could take off. It was through the cold tunnels again. And let me tell you, the guy driving this, he was very, very good, quick. He wasn't slowing down for those corners.
This is the deepest point in our cellar. Here we are around 100 meters down, and Cricova is the first company from the Republic of Moldova which started to produce portrait wines by using classical French method, champenoise method. In our factory we will visit two departments called remouage and dégorgeage. In what consist those two processes, of course, I will explain in our factory.
This was another very interesting part of the tour. This is where all the bottles are stored when they're first bottled, and they're all turned by hand. Very hard to explain. The angle of the bottle is changed every couple of days, and it helps the sediment move down to the neck of the bottle so that it can be easily removed, and therefore you don't get the imperfections in the final product. The next part of the tour brought us through into where they store some of the collection wines. So these are the really expensive ones that are sometimes owned by private owners who pay to have their wine stored in Cricova underground. You heard our guide say earlier that at this stage we're around 100 meters underground. There's an interesting story about Yuri Gagarin there as well. He came to visit the winery, and when he left he wrote a letter, but the date on the letter is actually over 2 days because he got lost in the tunnels. This is what they say. You can decide if it's true or not. You can also see down here on this wall pictures of some of the famous people that have visited the winery. There's lots of politicians and things on there, sports stars. It's very famous around the world, Cricova Winery. Just here before we get to the part where they actually store the wines, they made a nice little display of 2025 with empty wine bottles, and they say so you can have your picture taken there and you won't forget what year it was. This here is one of the oldest bottles stored in Cricova, and it dates back to 1902, so over 120 years old.
Then we went on streets like Cabernet, Dainis, Chardonnay Underground, Ariane Street, and we have been till the sparkling wine factory on the Boulevard of Champagne, and now we came back. So at the moment we are here, and we are very close to the exit. And we have here an area which is colored in red. That is the area where our storage in our wines in old barrels or in some of those big stainless tanks that you saw during our trip. But this one from here is our sparkling wine factory that we visited in the cellar. The spaces that are not colored on the map are the areas where it is still extracted the limestone or that white stone which is used in buildings.
Now, as you would expect, there's an extensive gifts shop when you come to the end of the tour. Loads and loads of wines that they make here in Cricova. And of course the usual things like magnets and pens. And something for everybody.
So we've just come out of the wine tour and we're back in the little bar that they have just before you go in. Oh my god, absolutely amazing. I'm not a big wine drinker, but just the history of it. They show you a little movie at the start talking about how the former Moldovan states, part of USSR, how they started making wine, how it was produced, how it was distributed. Really, really interesting. I'd highly recommend a visit here. The people, the staff, very knowledgeable, obviously as you would expect, but they know what they're talking about. Yeah, definitely worth a visit out. Easy to get to, relatively cheap for the tour. I think it cost us the equivalent of €20. And of course we've got a glass of wine with that, so all good. So I think we're just going to have something to drink now before we head back to the city. We'll probably get a taxi. But yeah, if you like, particularly if you like wine, but if you're just interested in the history of the winemaking and where it's distributed to, the process that they go through, turning the bottles by hand, brilliant, absolutely fantastic, highly recommended. So yeah, get yourself to Cricova Winery, just outside Chisinau, definitely, yeah.
So after we'd finished our tour, we decided to head back to the city. Only this time we got a taxi rather than the bus. I think it cost us less than €10 for the trip back, which was very reasonable considering the distance. When we got back we were hungry, so we decided to head here to La Placinte. Now, I don't want to say it's a fast food restaurant, but there are a number of their locations throughout the city, so I initially thought that, but when we got inside it was absolutely beautiful and made it feel like a real kind of standalone family restaurant. I'd say it's kind of, you know, that kind of family vibe going on. Look at this for food: fresh salad, fresh soup,
and the price was very, very reasonable. Couldn't recommend them higher. If you're in Chisinau, definitely visit La Placente. Then after we were finished, we decided to have a walk back to our apartment, again along these beautiful clean boulevards. I mentioned that in yesterday's video about how clean everything was. And look at this subway. So thanks for taking the time to watch the video of my second day in Chisinau, Moldova. Don't forget to have a look back on my first video, day 1, and also keep an eye out for my next video coming up, which will be day 3. Thank you very much.